Know your place, you stupid old woman. Those were the last words I heard before I felt my hair being pulled with such force I thought my scalp would tear off. My son-in-law Michael dragged me down the hallway like I was a sack of trash. My knees hit the cold ceramic floor. I tasted blood in my mouth. He threw me into a small room at the back of the house, a room with no windows that used to store old boxes and rusty tools. The door slammed shut with a dry thud. I heard the key turn in the lock. I stayed there on the floor trembling, not from fear, but from rage. My name is Eleanor Davis. I am 60 years old, and for almost 2 years, I allowed my own daughter and her husband to turn me into a prisoner inside my own home. But that night, locked in that dark room that smelled of dampness and abandonment, with a split lip and my pride destroyed, I pulled something out of my bra that they never knew I had. A secret cell phone. My hands shook as I typed a message. Just an address. Just 3 more words. I need help, urgent. I sent it to an old acquaintance. 25 minutes later, I heard the sirens. And in that moment, Sarah and Michael discovered who they had messed with. But to understand how I ended up in that dark room with messy hair and a broken heart, I must go back to the beginning, to the day when everything seemed perfect, to the day when I still believed my daughter loved me. Sometimes we trust too much in those we should not. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read you. 3 years ago, my life was completely different. I lived alone in a modest but dignified house in a quiet suburb of Chicago. A 2-story house with a small garden where I grew jasmines and hydrangeas. In the mornings, the aroma of brewed coffee mixed with the singing of birds. I had my routine, my friends from the market, my walks in the park on Sundays. I worked for 35 years as an executive secretary at a renowned law firm. It was not a life of luxury, but it was an honest life. When my husband Robert died 10 years ago from a sudden heart attack, I was left alone. And Sarah was already married. She already had her own family, or so I thought. My pension was not millions, but it was enough. $1,800 a month, a modest but dignified amount that allowed me to live without asking anyone for anything. I paid my utilities, bought my groceries, and even treated myself to inviting Sarah and her 2 children to lunch every 2 weeks. I remember those meals with a clarity that hurts. I used to prepare pot roast, Sarah's favorite since she was a little girl. I set the table with the embroidered tablecloth my mother gave me. My grandkids, Sam and Lily, ran around the garden while I made them fresh lemonade. Sarah would arrive with a smile. She would hug me. She would say, "It smells delicious, Mom. Nobody cooks like you." Michael always arrived late, always with a frown, always with his phone in his hand. At first I thought it was just work stress. Sarah had told me he had an auto parts business, that things were tough, that the economy was not helping. I nodded. I served more roast. I stayed silent when he raised his voice to tell Sarah the food was too seasoned or that the children were making too much noise. It is just his character, Mom Sarah would tell me later when she excused him. You know how men are when they are under pressure. And I stayed silent. I have always been one of those who stay silent. But there was a moment when Sarah started visiting me more frequently, not just on Sundays anymore. Suddenly, she would appear during the week, always with some excuse. "Mom, I was passing by and wanted to say hi. Mom, the kids wanted to see you. Mom, do you have some coffee?" At first, I was happy. I thought my daughter finally understood the value of spending time with her mother. I thought life had taught her that family is the only thing that matters. How naive I was. The visits always ended the same way. We drank coffee, we talked about trivial things, and then almost casually Sarah would drop a question. "Mom, how are you doing with your expenses? Mom, is the pension enough? Mom, if you ever need help, you know you can count on me, right?" I smiled at her. I told her I was fine, that I did not need anything, but Sarah insisted. "It is just that I worry about you, Mom. You are alone. What if something happens to you? What if you get sick and do not have money for medicine?" Those words stayed floating in the air like smoke. And although I pushed them away, although I insisted I was perfectly fine, something inside me began to feel uncomfortable. It was during one of those visits that I saw Sarah's phone vibrate on the table. She grabbed it quickly, too quickly. I saw the name on the screen before she turned it over. Michael. Do not answer in front of her. My heart skipped a beat. Sarah got up from the table. Sorry, Mom. It is work. I will be back in a moment. She went out to the garden. She closed the sliding glass door. But I could see her through the glass. I saw her pace back and forth. I saw her gesturing. I saw her look toward the kitchen, toward where I was, with an expression I could not decipher. When she returned, her smile was forced. Mom, she said, sitting back down in front of me, Michael and I have been thinking. You here alone in this big house. Us in that tiny apartment with the kids. Do not you think it would be better, that it would be more logical to live all together? I felt a weight in my stomach. Live together, I repeated. Yes, Mom, think about it. You would help us with the children. We would take care of you. It would be perfect, like a real family. Something in her tone of voice did not sit right with me. Something in the way she pronounced real family sounded hollow. But Sarah was my only daughter, and I, at 60 years old, was tired of being alone. Let me think about it, I told her. That night, I could not sleep. I sat in my rocking chair looking out the window at the dark garden. The hydrangeas swayed in the wind. The full moon illuminated the clay pots. And for the first time in a long time, I felt fear. Not of being alone, but of not being alone anymore. 3 weeks later, Sarah and Michael moved into my house. They brought their furniture. They brought their boxes. They brought their noise. And from the first day, I felt like it was no longer my house. Michael walked through the hallways as if he were the owner. He moved my things without asking. He changed the TV channel even if I was watching it. He opened the pantry and complained that there was no real food. This is just old lady junk, he said, throwing my crackers and oatmeal into the trash. Sarah just laughed. Do not mind him, Mom. You know how he is. But I did not know how he was because the Michael I knew at family meals was quiet and distant. This Michael was invasive, rude, territorial, and my daughter let him do it. The first real sign came 2 months after they moved in. I was in the kitchen making breakfast when Sarah walked in with a manila envelope. Mom, I need you to sign this. She left the envelope on the table. What is it? I asked, drying my hands on my apron. It is just some papers to update your health insurance just in case. You know, at your age, it is important to have everything in order. Something in her gaze avoided mine. I opened the envelope. There were several documents, small print legal terms I did not fully understand. And this power of attorney, I asked, pointing to one of the sheets. Sarah tensed up. It is just so I can help you with paperwork if something happens to you, Mom. Nothing serious. It is routine. But my instinct told me it was not routine. Let me read it calmly, I told her, closing the envelope. Sarah's expression changed, just for a second. I saw something in her eyes I had never seen before. Irritation. Suit yourself, Mom, she said, leaving the kitchen. That night, I put the envelope unsigned in my nightstand drawer, and for the first time since I was 12, since my father taught me to take care of myself, I did something I did not tell anyone. I went to the mall, walked into an electronics store, and bought a basic cell phone with a prepaid plan. I did not know why I was doing it, I just knew I needed it. I hid it in the back of my closet, wrapped in an old handkerchief, and I kept living as if everything was fine. But nothing was fine anymore. As I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. Write the name of your city in the comments. The following months were a slow agony disguised as normality. Sarah stopped asking me about the power of attorney papers, but I knew she had not forgotten. I saw it in the way she watched me when I checked my mail. I saw it in the way she entered my room without knocking, as if looking for something. Michael, for his part, became increasingly present in the house and more absent from work. His supposed auto parts business seemed not to exist. He woke up late, spent hours in front of the TV, yelled when the kids made noise. And always, always, he looked at me with that barely disguised contempt. "Is the food ready, Eleanor?" he would tell me. Never Mrs. Davis. Never mother-in-law. Just Eleanor, as if I were his employee. One day, I dared to correct him. "I would like you to address me with more respect, Michael." He let out a loud laugh. "Respect? You are living under the same roof as me, eating my food, using my electricity, my water, and you ask me for respect." I froze. "This is my house," I said with the steadiest voice I could manage. "For now," he replied, and walked out of the kitchen. For now. Those two words stayed with me like a splinter stuck in my chest. What did he mean by "for now"? That night, when Sarah and Michael went out to drop the kids at their other grandmother's house, I checked my desk, the drawer where I kept my important documents, house deeds, birth certificates, my will. Everything was there. But something was not in its place. The papers were messy, as if someone had taken them out in a hurry and put them back carelessly. I always ordered them chronologically. I always left them aligned in their folders. Someone had been snooping in my things. I felt a lump in my throat. I closed the drawer, and in that moment, I made a decision. The next day, without telling Sarah anything, I left the house early. I took a cab and went to the bank. The executive who assisted me was the same as always. Mr. Peterson, a man of about 50 who always treated me with kindness. "Good morning, Mrs. Davis. How can I help you? I need to check my account," I told him. "And I want to know if anyone else has access to it." Mr. Peterson typed on his computer. He frowned. "Your account is in your name only. Nobody else has access. Is there a problem?" "No." I lied. I just wanted to make sure. "Do you wish to add a beneficiary, a family member?" "No," I answered quickly. "In fact, I want to ensure that no one can make transactions without my physical presence here at the bank. Is that possible?" Mr. Peterson nodded. "Of course. We can place a security restriction. Any transaction over $100 will require your signature and ID at the window. Do it, please." I signed the necessary documents, and when I left the bank, I breathed a little easier. But that tranquility lasted very little. 2 weeks later, the first day of my pension deposit arrived. It was the 3rd of the month. It always arrived on the 3rd. $1,800 exactly. That morning after breakfast, Sarah approached me with a cup of coffee in her hand. "Mom, your pension arrived right." I nodded. "Perfect. I need you to give me $800. I looked at her without understanding. "What for?" "For groceries, Mom. For utilities, for household expenses. You live here. It is only fair." There was something logical in her words, but also something wrong. "I buy my own groceries," I told her, "and I have always paid the utilities. But now we are more people, Mom. More electricity is used, more water, more gas. And Michael is not working right now. Things are tough." There it was. The truth, Michael did not work. And now they wanted me to support the whole family. "Sarah, my pension is not enough for everyone. It barely covers me." My daughter slammed the cup on the table. "I cannot believe you are so selfish, Mom. We are taking care of you. We are giving you company, and you cannot help us with a little money." "It is not a little money, Sarah. It is $800. It is almost half my pension." "So, what do you spend it on anyway? On what, Mom? Here you do not pay rent. Here you pay almost nothing. You are an ungrateful woman." The words hurt me more than any physical blow. Ungrateful. My own daughter called me ungrateful in my own house. "I will think about it," I told her just to end the conversation. Sarah got up from the table and left the kitchen without saying goodbye. That afternoon, when I went to the market, I felt a tightness in my chest that did not let me breathe well. I walked among the fruit and vegetable stands on autopilot. I bought tomatoes. I bought onions. I bought the minimum. And when I returned home, Michael was sitting in my favorite armchair, my rocking chair, the one my husband Robert gave me for our 20th anniversary. We need to talk, he told me without even looking at me. I left the market bags on the kitchen table. About what about money? Sarah told me you do not want to cooperate with expenses. It is not that I do not want to. It is that I cannot. Michael got up from the rocking chair. He walked toward me. He planted himself in front of me with his arms crossed. Look, Eleanor, things are like this. You live here because we allow it. This house is big. It costs to maintain. And you have a pension you did not earn alone because your husband also contributed. So that pension also belongs to Sarah. I was left speechless. My pension is mine, I managed to say. Your pension belongs to the family. And here the family is all of us. So every month you are going to give $800 for the house. It is not negotiable. And if I do not want to... Michael smiled. It was a cold smile. Calculating. Then you will have to look for another place to live. And at your age, with what rent costs? Good luck. He turned around and left the kitchen. I stood there, hands shaking. That night, I did not eat dinner. I could not. I locked myself in my room and sat on the bed. I looked around the walls I painted peach myself, the dresser I bought with my first paycheck, the photographs of Robert of Sarah as a child of my parents, everything I had built, everything I had cared for. And now they were taking it from me. I opened the closet, took the old handkerchief from the back, and unwrapped the secret cell phone. I turned it on. It had battery. And in that moment, although I still did not know what I was going to do, I knew that little device would be my salvation. I saved a number, a single number, an old acquaintance I had not seen for years, someone who owed me a favor, someone I could trust. I did not call him, not yet, but knowing I could gave me a little strength. 3 days later, Sarah walked into my room without knocking. I was folding laundry. "Mom, I need your bank card." I looked up. My card. "Yes, I am going to the supermarket. I need to buy groceries. Give me the card and your PIN." "Sarah, I will go with you. I buy my groceries as always." "No, Mom, not anymore. Now I handle everything. It is easier this way. Give me the card." "No." The word came out of my mouth before I could stop it. Sarah narrowed her eyes. "What do you mean? No, I am not giving you my card. Why not? Do not you trust me, your own daughter?" "It is not that, Sarah. It is that the card is mine. It is my pension, and I manage it." My daughter crossed her arms. She had the same expression as Michael, that mix of contempt and coldness. "Fine, Mom. Do not give it to me. But then do not expect me to keep taking care of you." And she left my room, slamming the door. The following days were a silent hell. Sarah stopped talking to me. Michael ignored me completely. Even the kids, Sam and Lily, seemed to have received instructions to stay away from me. I ate alone, watched TV, alone walked through my own house like a ghost, and every night before sleeping, I took out the secret phone. I looked at it, and I thought, not yet, not yet, but soon. One afternoon when I went out to the garden to water the plants, I found something that froze my blood. My hydrangeas. My beautiful hydrangeas that I had cared for years. They were ripped out. Someone had torn them out by the roots and thrown them in the trash. I entered the house, trembling. Who tore out my plants? Michael was in the living room watching TV. "Me," he said, without turning to look at me. "They were in the way. I want to put a grill there for barbecues. Those plants were 10 years old. They were mine. This house belongs to everyone, Eleanor. Get over it." I felt something inside me break, but I did not cry, not anymore. Because in that moment, I understood something very clearly. This was not a family. This was an invasion, and I needed a plan. I still wonder if I did the right thing by staying silent so long. And you? Have you ever allowed something for fear of being alone? For the next few weeks, I tried to convince myself that things would improve. I got up earlier to make breakfast before Michael woke up. I cleaned the house from top to bottom without anyone asking me. I cooked Sarah's favorite dishes, hoping that would soften her heart. But nothing worked. Sarah remained distant. Michael remained invasive, and I continued feeling like a stranger in my own home. The day I turned 61, I woke up with a small hope. I thought maybe Sarah would remember, that maybe there would be a cake, a congratulation, something. I dressed with more care than usual. I put on a burgundy dress Robert had given me years ago. I did my hair. I put on light makeup. I went down to the kitchen expecting to find my family gathered, but the kitchen was empty. Sarah and Michael had left early. They left dirty breakfast plates in the sink, chairs disarranged, breadcrumbs on the table. I spent the whole day alone. No one called. No one arrived. At 8 at night, when Sarah finally returned with the kids, I was sitting in the living room watching an old movie on TV. "Hi, Mom," said Sarah, not even turning to look at me. "Hi, daughter." I waited. Maybe she had forgotten. Maybe she would remember at any moment. But Sarah went up the stairs with the kids and closed her bedroom door. I stayed there in the living room with a shrinking heart. And for the first time since Robert died, I cried. I cried in silence, so no one would hear me, so no one would know that my own daughter had forgotten my birthday. That night, before going to bed, I took out the secret phone. I looked at the saved number, the only contact I had there. My fingers hovered over the keypad. Not yet, I told myself. I can still fix this. But deep down, I knew nothing was going to be fixed. 2 weeks later, the next deposit of my pension arrived. $1,800, as always. That morning after breakfast, Michael sat in front of me at the kitchen table. "Eleanor, we need to talk." I left my coffee cup on the table. "About what?" "About your pension." "It arrived, right?" I nodded. "Good, then give me $1,000. I froze. "You said it was $800. "Yeah, well, prices went up. The kids need school supplies. We have to pay electricity, gas, phone. $1,000. "Michael, I cannot give you $1,000. I need that money for my medication for my things. Your medication does not cost that much. Stop playing the victim and give me the money." "No." The word came out firm, firmer than I expected. Michael got up from the chair. He walked toward me. He leaned over the table, bringing his face close to mine. "You know what, Eleanor? I am tired of your tantrums. I am tired of your selfishness. Everyone here does their part except you. Michael, this is my house, my pension, and I decide what to do with my money." He let out a dry laugh. "Your house, your pension, your money. You know what happens to stubborn old women like you? They end up alone. They end up abandoned in a nursing home. Is that what you want?" I felt a chill run down my spine. "You are threatening me." "I am not threatening you. I am telling you the truth. If you do not want to cooperate with this family, then you are not part of this family, and people who are not part of the family are excess baggage." He straightened up, turned his back on me, and before leaving the kitchen, he stopped in the doorway. "You have until tomorrow to give me those $1,000, or I start looking for nursing homes." And he left. I sat in the kitchen trembling, not from fear, from rage. But more than rage, I felt something worse. I felt helpless. Because as much as I wanted to kick them out of my house, as much as I wanted to scream at them to leave, I knew it was not that easy. They were my daughter, my grandkids, and I, despite everything, still loved them. That afternoon when Sarah arrived from the street, I waited for her in the living room. "Sarah, I need to talk to you." My daughter took off her shoes and let herself fall onto the sofa. "What is it, Mom? Michael asked me for $1,000 from my pension and threatened to put me in a nursing home if I do not give it to him." I waited for some reaction. I expected Sarah to get indignant, to defend her mother, to tell her husband he was out of line. But Sarah just sighed. "Oh, Mom, Michael did not threaten you. He is just stressed. Things are very difficult for us. Difficult, and not for me. This is my house, Sarah, my pension. I cannot support a whole family. We are not asking you to support the whole family, just to cooperate, just to be fair. Fair to whom? To the man who ripped out my plants. To the man who disrespects me every day. Sarah stood up. I am tired of this conversation, Mom. You are always the victim. You always complain. You know what Michael is right. You are selfish. You always have been. The words hit me like stones. Sarah, no, Mom, let me finish. My whole life has been like this. When Dad died, you only thought about yourself, your pain, your loneliness. You never thought that I had also lost him, that I was also suffering. That is not true. Yes, it is. And now that I finally have a family and need help, you turn your back on me. You deny me the only thing I ask of you. I am not denying you anything, Sarah. I am just telling you I cannot give you $1,000 every month. It is too much. Then give me 500 something, but stop playing the martyr. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I did not recognize the woman in front of me. That was not my daughter. That was not the girl I raised. That was not the little Sarah who hugged me and said, "I love you, Mommy," before sleeping. That woman had Michael's cold eyes. She had his same hardness. Fine, I said, defeated. I will give you $500 this month. Sarah nodded. Thanks, Mom. I knew you would listen to reason. And she went up the stairs without saying goodbye. The next day, I went to the bank. I withdrew $500 in cash. I put them in an envelope and gave them to Sarah. She did not even thank me. She just took the envelope and put it in her purse. That night, I checked my bank statement. I had $1,300 left. I had to pay electricity, $200 gas, $100 phone, $80 my blood pressure medication, $200 and my groceries. I did the math, over and over again. It was not enough. And there were still 20 days left until the next deposit. The following days were of constant tension. Sarah and Michael acted as if everything was fine, as if I had not just given them $500, as if I was not struggling to make ends meet. One afternoon when I went to the supermarket, I had to put several things back on the shelf because I did not have enough money. The cashier looked at me with pity when I asked her to remove the cheese, the ham, and the chicken. Sure, ma'am. Yes, dear. Sure. I returned home with only the basics: beans, rice, tomatoes, onions, tortillas. That night, Michael made fun of my dinner. Beans again, Eleanor. Do not you have imagination? I did not answer him. I just ate in silence. The next day, when I was cleaning my room, I found something strange. My jewelry box was open. I always kept it closed. Always. I checked it with a racing heart. Something was missing. My gold earrings, the ones Robert gave me for our 15th anniversary. The only valuable earrings I had were gone. I ran down the stairs. Sarah, Sarah. My daughter came out of the kitchen. What is it, Mom? Why are you shouting? My earrings. My gold earrings. Have you seen them? Sarah shrugged. No, Mom. I do not know what earrings you are talking about. The earrings your father gave me, the ones that are always in my jewelry box, have disappeared. Well, I do not know, Mom. Maybe you lost them. You know you do not have such a good memory anymore. I froze. I did not lose them. Someone took them. Sarah looked at me with annoyance. Are you accusing me of something? I did not say that, but you are implying it. Do you think I stole your earrings, Sarah? I am just asking if you have seen them. No, Mom, I have not seen them, and I find it very ugly that you go around accusing your own family of theft. She turned around and left. I stayed there in the middle of the living room, feeling lonelier than ever. I went up to my room, locked the door, and I cried. I cried for the earrings. I cried for the money. I cried for my dignity. But above all, I cried because I finally understood something. I was not losing my things due to carelessness. They were being stolen from me. And when I took out the secret phone that night, I no longer thought not yet. I thought soon. Very soon. As I tell all this, I think about where you might be listening to me. Write the name of your city in the comments. The next month, my pension arrived, as always, $1,800. But this time, something was different. This time, I was prepared. I went to the bank the same day of the deposit. I arrived early before the downtown shops opened. I sat on the bench at the entrance and waited. When Mr. Peterson arrived, he greeted me with his usual kindness. "Good morning, Mrs. Davis. You are here early." "Good morning. I need to speak with you. It is important." He showed me to his desk, closed the office door. "What is happening?" I took a deep breath. "I need you to explain something to me. If someone wanted to take money from my account without me being present, could they do it?" Mr. Peterson frowned. "No, Mrs. Davis. As I explained a few months ago, we placed restrictions on your account. Any transaction requires your physical presence and ID. Why do you ask? Do you have any suspicion?" "Yes, I think my family is trying to access my money." Mr. Peterson nodded slowly. "I understand. Unfortunately, it is more common than one thinks. Relatives taking advantage of seniors. Has anyone asked for your card or PIN?" "Yes, my daughter. And did you give them to her?" "No." "Good, keep it that way. And if I may offer some personal advice, consider opening a secret savings account, one that only you know about, for emergencies." His words gave me an idea. "Can I do it now?" "Of course." 30 minutes later, I left the bank with a new debit card, a savings account completely independent from my pension. I had transferred $500 to that account, money nobody knew existed. I hid the card in the safest place I could think of, inside a box of oatmeal in my pantry in my room. Nobody would check there. When I returned home, Michael was waiting for me in the living room. "Where were you?" I went to the bank. "To the bank. What for?" "To withdraw money." Michael held out his hand. "Give me $800. $800. Last month we agreed on $500. Things changed. The kids need new uniforms. Give me $800. I felt my blood boil. "I am not going to give you $800, Michael." His expression hardened. "What did you say?" I said. "No. I already gave you $500 last month. I cannot keep giving you more." Michael got up from the armchair. He walked toward me with slow and calculated steps. "Listen to me well, old woman. You decide nothing in this house. I am in charge here. And if I tell you to give me $800, you give them to me." "This is my house," I said, though my voice trembled, "and you do not command anything here." For a moment, I thought he was going to hit me. I saw the rage in his eyes. I saw how he clenched his fists. But then Sarah appeared on the stairs. "What is going on here?" "Your mom does not want to cooperate," said Michael without taking his eyes off me. Sarah came down the stairs. She stood next to her husband, both of them in front of me. "Mom, give me the money." "Sarah, I cannot keep giving you money every month. My pension is not enough. Then sell something." I gasped. "Sell something, yes. Mom, this house is full of old things you do not use. Sell Grandma's porcelain china. Sell the paintings. Sell whatever. But get the money. Sarah, that china belonged to my mother. It is the only thing I have left of her. So what are you going to let your family suffer needs for an old plate? I could not believe what I was hearing. You are not suffering needs. Michael simply does not want to work. The blow came so fast I did not see it coming. Michael slapped me. It was not hard. It did not knock me to the floor. But the emotional impact was devastating. I put my hand to my cheek. I felt the stinging. I felt tears welling up. Michael screamed Sarah, but she did not scream out of indignation. She screamed out of fear, fear that I would do something. Michael pointed his finger at me. "Next time you disrespect me, it one not be just a slap. Understood?" And he went up the stairs. I stayed there, standing, cheek burning and heart shattered. Sarah looked at me. For a second, just a second, I saw something in her eyes. Guilt, regret. But then she looked away. "You should not have provoked him, Mom." And she followed her husband upstairs. I was left alone in the living room. And in that moment, something inside me broke definitively. I went up to my room, locked the door. I took out the secret phone. My hands shook as I typed a message. "Hello, It is Eleanor. Do you remember me? I need your advice. It is urgent. I sent it. 3 minutes later, the answer came. Of course I remember you, Eleanor. What is happening? Are you okay? I started crying while writing. No, I am not okay. I need help. Tell me what you need, whatever it is. For now, I just need to know I can count on you. Can I? You always have. Let me know when you are ready to talk. I will be here. I put the phone away, wiped my tears, and for the first time in months, I felt I was not completely alone. The following days were of a tense silence. Michael did not ask me for money again, but his presence was increasingly aggressive. He slammed doors, yelled at the kids. He looked at my things with a contempt that froze my blood. One afternoon when I went out to buy bread, I returned and found my room open. I entered with a racing heart. Everything was messy. My drawers open, my clothes thrown on the bed, my jewelry box overturned. They had been looking for something. I checked quickly. The oatmeal box was still in its place. The secret card was safe. The secret phone too. But my wedding ring was gone. The ring Robert put on my finger 42 years ago. The ring I never took off, not even when he died. The ring I took off only to shower and kept in a little velvet box. It was gone. I went down the stairs furious. Sarah, Michael, I found them in the kitchen. Who entered my room? Sarah looked up from her phone. What are you talking about? My room is a mess. Someone entered and my wedding ring disappeared. Michael shrugged. It was not me. Me neither. Mom said Sarah. Maybe you lost it. I did not lose it. It was stolen, and I know it was you two. Michael got up from the chair. Careful with what you say, Eleanor, or what are you going to hit me again if necessary? Sarah stood up. Enough, both of you. Mom, nobody stole anything from you. You are paranoid. You are inventing things. I am not inventing anything. First it was my earrings, now it is my ring. What is next? Are you going to sell my whole house while I sleep? Sarah let out a dry laugh. Do not be ridiculous. But something in her look confirmed what I already knew. They had my ring and they had sold it. That night I could not sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling thinking about everything I had lost. My earrings, my ring, my dignity, my peace, and worst of all, my daughter. Because the woman living in my house was no longer Sarah. She was a stranger with her face. The next day I decided to do something I never thought I would do. I went to a notary. I asked the notary to explain how inheritances worked, how wills worked, what happened if someone stole from you. The notary, a man of about 60 with thick glasses, listened to me attentively. Ma'am, if you suspect your relatives are stripping you of your assets, you can take legal measures. You can disinherit them. You can protect your estate. How first we need to document everything, every theft, every threat, every aggression. Second, we need witnesses. Is there anyone who can vouch for what you are experiencing? I thought of my neighbors, Mrs. Remedios, who lived next door, Mr. Arthur, who sold tamales on the corner, but I was ashamed to tell them. No, I lied. The notary nodded. Then it will be harder, but not impossible. Do you have any document proving the house is yours? Yes, the deeds. Good, keep them in a safe place, a place where they cannot find them, and if the situation gets dangerous, call the police. I left the notary with a mix of relief and terror. Relief because I knew there were options. Terror because I knew using those options meant losing my family forever. That afternoon when I returned home, I found Sarah waiting for me in the living room. Mom, where were you? I went for a walk. A walk? Where to the park? Sarah narrowed her eyes. Just to the park. Yes, Sarah, just to the park. Why are you interrogating me? Because Michael saw you coming out of a notary's office. I felt the floor open under my feet. Were you following me? We were not following you. Michael was passing by and saw you. What were you doing at a notary? Mom, I thought fast. I was asking about my will. I want to update it. Update it. Why? Because I am a 61-year-old woman, Sarah. It is normal for me to have my things in order. Sarah crossed her arms. And what are you going to put in? That? Well, I looked her straight in the eyes. That is my business. My daughter clenched her jaw. Fine, Mom, keep your secrets. But I warn you something. If you are thinking of disinheriting me, you will regret it. Are you threatening me? No, I am warning you. And she left the room. That night, I put the house deeds in a manila envelope. I hid them inside an old Bible nobody opened. I put the Bible on the highest shelf of my closet behind some shoe boxes, and I took out the secret phone. I wrote another message. I think I am going to need your help for real soon. Are you still there? The answer came in seconds. I am here. Tell me what you need and when you need it. Soon. I will let you know soon. I put the phone away, and for the first time in a long time, I felt I had a plan. A plan to get out of this. A plan to get my life back. But before I could execute it, things got much worse. 3 days later, the electricity bill collector arrived. He knocked on the door. I opened. Good morning, ma'am. I am here to leave the electric bill. He handed me the paper. I opened it. $800. I froze. There must be a mistake. My bill is never more than $200. There is no mistake, ma'am. There was excessive consumption this billing period, but that is impossible. The collector shrugged. It is what the meter reads. If you have any doubt, you can call the company. He left. I stood there with the bill in my hand, feeling the rage growing inside me. I went into the house. I went straight to the living room where Michael was watching TV. What is this? I told him, showing him the bill. He did not even turn to look at me. The electric bill. $800, Michael. What did you do? Did you leave all the lights on? 24 hours a day, I do not know what you are talking about. Of course you know. This bill is inflated and I know it was on purpose. You are trying to break me financially, so I give you more money. Michael finally looked at me and smiled, that cold and calculating smile I already knew. Pay the bill, Eleanor, or they cut our power. And if they cut our power, the kids, one, not be able to do their homework. Do you want that? This is your fault. Prove it. I could not, because I had no proof. I only had an impossible bill and the certainty that they were destroying me slowly. That night, I took out the secret phone for the last time before everything exploded. I wrote a long message. I told him everything. The money, the threats, the thefts, the slap, the inflated bill. And I ended with a question. What do? I cannot take it anymore. The answer came an hour later. Eleanor, what you are living is financial violence and family abuse. You can report them. I can help you, but I need you to tell me. Are you ready to take that step? Because once you start, there is no turning back. I read the message over and over again. Was I ready? Was I ready to report my own daughter? Was I ready to lose my grandkids? Was I ready to be completely alone? I did not know. But I knew one thing. I could not keep living like this. I wrote one last answer that night. I am not ready yet, but I will be soon. Thanks for being there. I put the phone away, turned off the light, and prepared for what would come, because I felt in my bones that something terrible was about to happen, and I was right. What happened 3 days later changed everything. It was Friday afternoon. I was in the kitchen making vegetable soup. The kids, Sam and Lily, were playing in the backyard. Sarah had gone to the market, and Michael was in his room, as always, watching TV. Or so I thought. When I went up to my room to get a sweater because it was getting cold, I heard voices. They came from Sarah and Michael's room. The door was ajar. Normally, I do not stop to listen to private conversations. But something in Michael's tone of voice made me freeze in the hallway. I tell you, it is almost ready, Michael was saying. Are you sure? Answered another voice. It was not Sarah. It was a man. I approached carefully. I put my back against the wall and listened. Yes, buddy. The old woman is practically broke. We have squeezed about $1,500 out of her in these 2 months. And she still has the missing jewelry, some furniture we can sell, and most importantly, the house. And did she sign the power of attorney? No. She got stubborn with that. But it does not matter. I have another plan. Which one? I am going to make her look mentally incompetent. I am going to document that she is senile, that she forgets things, that she says she is being robbed when she loses them herself. I already keep a notebook with notes. When I have enough, I will take her to a doctor who owes me a favor and get a certificate of mental incapacity. The other man let out a laugh. You are a bastard, Michael. Business is business, buddy. That house is worth about $300,000. It is in an area that is increasing in value. If I get Sarah to inherit everything and then convince my mother-in-law to sign the house over to Sarah, we can sell it and split the money. Does Sarah know all this? There was a silence. Sarah knows what she needs to know. She thinks we are just saving a little money until my business takes off. She does not know I already sold her earrings and her ring. She does not know I am inflating the bills to get more money out of her. And she definitely does not know I plan to sell this house as soon as it is legally possible. And if the old lady realizes she won, not realize, not. And if she realizes it is already too late, besides, who is she going to tell? She has no friends. She has no family. She is alone, completely alone. I felt my legs shaking. I moved away from the door carefully. I went down the stairs without making noise. I entered my room, locked the door, and I let myself fall onto the bed. I could not breathe. Everything was a lie. Everything was a trap. Michael never intended to live as a family. He never intended to take care of me. From the beginning, from the first day they moved into my house, his only goal was to strip me of everything. And the worst part, the worst of all, Sarah knew. Maybe she did not know the details. Maybe she did not know about the sold jewelry or the inflated bills. But she knew they were using me. She knew they were robbing me, and she did nothing to stop it. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, feeling my whole world crumbling. I thought of Robert, of what he would say if he were alive, of how he would protect me, of how he would kick Michael out of the house. But Robert was not there, and I was alone, completely alone. I took out the secret phone. My hands shook so much I could barely type. I need to see you, urgent. I discovered something grave. The answer came in 2 minutes. Where and when tomorrow? At the Park Coffee Shop at 10 in the morning. I will be there. Are you in danger now? I do not know, but I am scared. If you feel you are in immediate danger, call me at the number I gave you, no matter the time. Okay. Okay. I put the phone away, and that night I could not sleep. Every noise startled me. Every step in the hallway made me think they were coming for me. Every creak of the house made me imagine the worst. At 3 in the morning, I heard someone trying to open my bedroom door. The handle moved, once, twice. Then silence. I stayed frozen in bed, not daring to breathe. Minutes later, I heard steps walking away. The next day, I woke up with dark circles and a racing heart. I waited for Sarah and Michael to leave. They had told the kids they would take them to the other grandmother's house. As soon as they left, I got ready quickly. I put on a sweater, grabbed my purse, and left the house. I walked fast toward the park. I felt someone was following me, although when I turned around, there was no one. I arrived at the coffee shop at 10 sharp, and there he was, Officer James. We had met 20 years ago when I worked at the law firm. He was a young police officer coming to file reports. I helped him on a complicated case, giving him access to documents he needed. Since then, we maintained a respectful friendship. Over time, James was promoted. He became a commander and was now the police chief of the sector. He saw me enter and got up from the table. He greeted me with a hug. Eleanor. We have not seen each other in years. I know James. Thanks for coming. We sat down. He ordered 2 coffees, and I told him everything from the beginning, from the day Sarah convinced me to live together, from the first time they asked me for money, from the thefts, from the slap, from the inflated bill. And finally, I told him what I heard yesterday, Michael's plan, the mental incapacity certificate, the sale of the house. James listened in silence, his face hardened with every detail. When I finished, he left his coffee cup on the table. "Eleanor, what you are describing to me is a serious crime. It is financial abuse. It is fraud. And if they manage to make you sign something under duress or under the pretext of mental incapacity, it would also be dispossession." "I know. But I have no proof, James. I only have my word. Your word is enough to start. But we need to document everything. Do you have receipts? Messages? Something showing what they are doing to you?" I thought fast. "I have the inflated electric bill. I have my bank statement where it shows I have been withdrawing money constantly. And I have this. I took out my personal phone. I showed him the messages Sarah had sent me asking for money. They were not many, but they were something. James reviewed them. This helps, but we need more. We need concrete proof of the threats of the thefts. How can you record conversations?" I froze. "Record them? Yes. If Michael threatens you again or asks for money, record him. With your phone, without him noticing. I do not know if I can." James put his hand on mine. "Eleanor, I understand you are scared. I understand she is your daughter. But what they are doing to you is a crime. And if we do not do something now, they are going to finish stripping you of everything, including your house." He was right. I knew it. But the idea of recording my own daughter, of gathering evidence against her, broke my heart. "I need to think about it," I said. James nodded. "That is fine. Take your time. But not too much. The more time passes, the harder it will be to reverse the damage. And if Michael manages to get that mental incapacity certificate..." He did not finish the sentence. It was not necessary. We said goodbye with another hug. "Keep my number on speed dial," James told me before leaving. "If something happens, if you feel you are in danger, call me. I will arrive in minutes." I nodded, and I returned home with a heavy heart. When I arrived, Sarah and Michael had already returned. They were in the living room arguing in hushed voices. As soon as they saw me enter, they went silent. "Hi, Mom," said Sarah with a forced smile. "Where were you? I went for a walk in the park." "To the park alone?" "Yes." "Sarah, alone." "Any problem?" Michael looked at me with suspicion. "Who did you talk to at the park?" I felt a chill. "How do you know I talked to someone? I saw you said Michael. I saw you entering the coffee shop. Who were you with?" I froze. Had he followed me? "With a friend." I lied. "A friend from work from years ago." "What friend, Michael? I do not have to give you explanations." He got up from the armchair. "Yes, you do, because you are acting very weird lately, sneaking out, keeping secrets." "I am not keeping secrets." "Yes, you are, and I know you are planning something." "Planning something? What are you talking about?" Michael walked toward me. He stopped inches from my face. "I saw you leave the notary last week. I saw you at the park today. I know you are looking for help. I know you want to kick us out. This is my house, Michael. I can kick you out whenever I want." He smiled, that smile that already gave me nightmares. "You cannot, because I have tenant rights, because Sarah is your daughter. And because if you try anything, I will prove you are crazy, that you are senile, that you are not in a condition to make decisions." There it was, the threat I heard yesterday, the same threat now said to my face. I am not crazy. "We will see about that." Sarah stood up. "Michael, that is enough." But her voice had no strength, no conviction. Michael turned his back on me. "Watch yourself, Eleanor, because you are playing with fire." And he went up the stairs. Sarah looked at me. For a moment, I saw my daughter, the real Sarah, the girl I raised. I saw guilt in her eyes. I saw regret. But then she lowered her gaze. "You should be more careful, Mom." And she left me alone in the living room. I went up to my room, locked the door, took out the secret phone, and I wrote a message to James. He threatened me. He told me he's going to prove I am crazy, that he is going to take everything from me. I need help. The answer came immediately. Start recording everything, every conversation, every threat, and keep that phone well hidden. I am going to talk to a judge I know. We are going to prepare a protective order, but I need proof. I will do it. And Eleanor, if the situation gets violent, do not hesitate to call me day or night. Okay. I put the phone away. That night, when everyone was asleep, I went down to the kitchen. I needed water, I needed air, and it was there in the dark kitchen where I saw something that froze my blood. On the table there was a folder with the logo of a psychiatric hospital. I opened it with trembling hands. Inside there were documents, forms, and a letter addressed to a doctor. Dear Dr. Evans, I am writing to request a psychiatric evaluation for my mother-in-law, Mrs. Eleanor Davis, age 61. In recent months, we have noticed considerable cognitive deterioration. She forgets where she puts things and then accuses us of stealing from her. She has episodes of paranoia. She thinks we are watching or chasing her. Her behavior has become erratic and unpredictable. I attach a log of incidents that I have documented in the last 2 months. I request a full evaluation to determine if it is necessary to initiate an interdiction process for mental incapacity. Sincerely, Michael Vargas. My hand shook so much the paper was falling. He had already done it. He had already started the process. He had already fabricated evidence that I was crazy, and that log of incidents he mentioned was the notebook he spoke about on the phone. A notebook full of lies. I took out my personal phone. With trembling hands, I took photos of all the documents, the letter, the forms, and put everything back exactly as it was. I went up to my room. I sent the photos to James on the secret phone. His answer came in minutes. This is gold, Eleanor. It is proof of attempted fraud. Tomorrow, first thing, I am going to the judge. We are going to stop this. What do I do in the meantime? Act normal. Do not let them know you found this. And stay alert. If Michael suspects you discovered his plan, he can become violent. Okay, Eleanor. Hang in there a little longer. We are almost done with this. That night, I did not sleep. I stayed awake, sitting on my bed with the secret phone in one hand and Robert's photograph in the other. Help me, love, I whispered. Help me get out of this. And as the night advanced, as I heard the sounds of the sleeping house, I knew the end was approaching. An end that would be painful, an end that would be necessary, but an end at last. Because I could not keep living like this. I could not keep being a prisoner in my own home. And even if it hurt my soul, even if it tore my heart apart, I knew what I had to do. I knew I had to fight, even if that fight meant losing my daughter forever. I still wonder if I did the right thing. And you, what would you have done in my place? The next 2 days were the longest of my life. I had to act as if nothing had happened, as if I did not know about the plan, as if I had not seen the documents, as if my world was not collapsing. James called me on the secret phone on Monday morning. Eleanor, I already spoke with the judge. He is willing to listen to you, but he needs you to file a formal complaint. And he needs you to have more proof of the verbal threats. What kind of proof? Recordings, videos. Witnesses, something that proves Michael has threatened you directly. James, if I start recording conversations, he is going to notice. He does not have to notice. Use your phone. Leave it recording in your pocket or on the table as if it were there by accident. I took a deep breath. Okay, I will try. And Eleanor, be very careful. If Michael suspects anything, the situation can escalate. Keep your personal phone always with you. And if you feel danger, call me immediately at the emergency number I gave you. I will do it. That afternoon, when Michael arrived from the street, I was in the kitchen preparing dinner. He walked in as always with that attitude of owning everything. Eleanor, I need to talk to you. I left the knife on the cutting board. About what? About money. Your pension for this month arrived, right? Yes. Good. I need $1,000. I felt my blood boil, but I held back. I took my personal phone out of my apron pocket. I put it on the kitchen table, screen down, as if I had left it there by mistake. But before that, I activated the voice recorder. Michael, I have already given you money the last few months. I cannot keep giving you more. I am not asking for permission. I am telling you what you are going to do. And if I refuse, Michael walked up to me. His face was inches from mine. If you refuse, things are going to get very ugly for you, old woman. Very ugly. Are you threatening me? I am warning you. Here things are done as I say, and if you do not like it, you can leave. But this house stays with us. This house is mine, Michael. It is in my name. He smiled. That smile that already gave me nausea. For now, but not for long. I already spoke to a doctor. I already have your madness documented. In a few weeks, I'm going to have a certificate that says you are not fit to make decisions. And then Sarah is going to take charge of everything, including this house. I am not crazy. That is what all crazy people say. He turned to leave, but before reaching the door, he stopped. Oh, and one other thing. Do not go out again without telling us. Do not have secret meetings with anyone again, because we are watching you, and if you try to look for help again, I am going to lock you in your room, and no one is going to find you. He left the kitchen. I stayed there trembling. I grabbed my phone, stopped the recording. I listened to it. It was perfect. Every word, every threat, everything had been recorded. That night, I sent the audio to James via the secret phone. His response was immediate. This is exactly what we needed. Tomorrow I am going to the judge. With this and the documents you photographed, we can get a restraining order and start the legal process against Michael. Are you ready? I looked at the phone screen. Was I ready? Was I ready to destroy my family? Was I ready to see my daughter hating me? Was I ready to be completely alone? I wrote a single word. Yes. Good. Tomorrow afternoon, I'm going to need you to come file the formal complaint. Can you leave the house without them suspecting I will find a way? Perfect. I will wait for you tomorrow at 3 p.m. at the precinct. And Eleanor, hang on a little longer. We're almost done. I put the phone away. And that night, for the first time in months, I slept a little better because I knew there was hope. The next day, Tuesday, I waited for Sarah to go out with the kids to do some shopping. Michael was in his room watching TV. I got ready quickly, grabbed my purse, and left the house. I walked fast toward the main avenue. I took a cab. To the police station, please. The driver nodded. 20 minutes later, I was in front of James's desk. He received me with a hug. You came. Good. Sit down. I sat down. James took out several documents. This is the complaint form. We are going to accuse Michael of financial abuse, threats, dispossession, and attempted fraud. With the recordings and the photos of the documents, we have a solid case. I started filling out the form. With every line I wrote, I felt I was digging the grave of my relationship with my daughter. But I did not stop because I could not keep living like this. When I finished, James reviewed everything. Perfect. Now I am going to ask the judge to issue a temporary restraining order against Michael. That means he, one, not be able to get near you. The police are going to notify him in the next few hours. And what will happen to Sarah? James looked at me with sadness. Eleanor, if Sarah was involved in the theft of your pension or in Michael's plan, she can also face charges. But for now, we are going to focus on Michael. Has she threatened you too? I thought of all the times Sarah asked me for money. Of all the times she called me selfish. Of all the times she looked away when Michael disrespected me. Not directly, but she was an accomplice. James nodded. I understand. Let's go step by step. First we get Michael out of your house. Then we see what we do with Sarah. I signed the complaint. James walked me to the door. Eleanor, in a few hours, we are going to your house to notify Michael. I need you to be prepared when we arrive. He might get violent. He might scream. He might try to intimidate you. But we will be there to protect you. And if Sarah hates me, James put his hand on my shoulder. She might hate you now. But someday when she understands what that man was doing, She will thank you, and if she does not, at least you will be safe." I returned home in another cab. When I arrived, Sarah had already returned. She was in the kitchen preparing food. "Hi, Mom. Where were you?" "I went to the doctor." "To the doctor? Are you sick?" "Just a routine checkup." Sarah looked at me with suspicion. "Which doctor?" "Dr. Reynolds." "My usual doctor." I lied with such naturalness that I surprised myself. Sarah said nothing more, but I knew she did not believe me. At 5 in the afternoon, I heard the sirens. My heart started beating like crazy. 2 patrol cars parked in front of my house. James got out of one of them, accompanied by 3 more officers. Michael ran out of his room. "What the hell is going on? Why are there police cars here?" Sarah came out of the kitchen. "Mom, what is happening?" I said nothing. James knocked on the door. Michael opened. "Who are you, Commander James? Are you Michael Vargas?" "Yes." "What do you want?" "I have a restraining order against you." "You have been accused of financial abuse, threats, dispossession, and attempted fraud against Mrs. Eleanor Davis. You have to vacate this property immediately." Michael's face turned red. "What?" "This is madness." "It is not madness, sir. It is a court order. You have 30 minutes to gather your personal belongings and leave the property." Michael turned toward me. "Was it you? Did you do this?" I did not answer. Sarah approached. "Mom, what did you do?" Finally, I spoke. What I should have done months ago, protect myself. Michael walked toward me. James stepped in immediately. "One more step and I arrest you for contempt." Michael clenched his fists. "This is not going to stay like this, you stupid old woman. You are going to regret it. I heard enough, Mr. Vargas. Any additional threat will be documented. Now pick up your things." Michael went up the stairs in a fury. Sarah stayed there looking at me with an expression I will never forget. It was not just anger, it was hate. "How could you do this to your own family? Mom, Sarah, he was using you. He was using both of us. He sold my jewelry. He inflated the bills. He planned to take my house by making me look crazy. That is not true." I took out my phone, played the recording. Sarah heard her husband's voice, every word, every threat. When it finished, she had tears in her eyes, but they were not tears of regret. They were tears of rage. "You provoked him. You forced him to do this with your selfishness." "Sarah." "No, Mom. I do not want to hear you. You chose the police over your own family. You chose your money over your grandkids. I did not choose anything." Michael forced me. Michael came down the stairs with 2 suitcases. "Let's go, Sarah." My daughter looked at him. "Where are we going to go? To my brother's house?" "For now." Sarah ran up the stairs. She started packing things in a hurry. I approached James. "I do not want them to take the kids." James shook his head. "Eleanor, they are your grandkids." "But Sarah is the mother. We cannot stop her from taking them unless there is a court order authorizing it. And that takes time. And if I do not see them again, then you will have to fight for that right. But first, you need to be safe." 20 minutes later, Sarah came down with the kids. Sam and Lily looked at me confused. "Grandma, why are we leaving?" asked Sam. "Because your grandma is a bad person," answered Sarah. Those words went through me like a knife. "Sarah, do not tell them that. It is the truth." They left the house. Michael gave me one last look full of poison. This does not end here, and they left. I saw them get into a car. I saw them drive away, and in that moment I was completely alone. James put his hand on my shoulder. "You did good, Eleanor. I know it hurts, but you did good." I closed the door, and I let myself fall onto the hall floor. And I cried. I cried like I had not cried in years because I had won my house, but I had lost my daughter and my grandkids. And I did not know if I would ever see them again. James stayed with me for a while. He made me tea. He made sure I was okay. Before leaving, he left me his personal number. Anything, Eleanor, anything. That night, I walked through my house, the house that was now empty. the house that was now only mine. I went up to my room. I took out the secret phone. I wrote to James, "Thanks for everything. I do not know what I would have done without you. You do not have to thank me. You did the right thing. Rest." Tomorrow we continue with the process. I put the phone away. I lay in my bed and looked out the window toward the dark garden, where once my hydrangeas grew, where once my grandkids played, where once I was happy. And I thought, was it worth it? I did not know yet. But I knew one thing. I was no longer a prisoner. I no longer lived in fear. They were not going to rob me anymore. They were not going to hit me anymore. And that, in some way, had to be worth something. The first days after they left were strange. The house was silent, a silence I had not experienced since they moved in. There were no screams. There were no slamming doors. There were no heavy footsteps on the stairs. Just silence. And although that silence should have brought me peace, it brought me something else. Loneliness. A loneliness so deep that sometimes I sat in the living room and wondered if I had done the right thing. James called me every day. "How are you, Eleanor Good?" I lied. "Have you heard anything from Sarah?" No, nothing. And it was true. My daughter had not called. She had not sent messages. She had given no signs of life. It was as if I had died to her. A week after the eviction, James came to visit me. He brought more documents. "Eleanor, we have to talk about the next steps." We sat at the kitchen table. Michael filed a countersuit. He says you accused him falsely, that he never threatened you, that everything was a misunderstanding. But I have the recordings. I have the photos of the documents. I know, and that is what is going to save us. But we need to prepare for a trial. It is going to be long. It is going to be difficult. And it is going to be public. I felt a knot in my stomach. Public, yes. The neighbors will find out. Maybe the media. These types of cases sometimes attract attention. I do not want that, I know, but it is part of the process. And there is something else I need to ask you. James paused. "Do you want to include Sarah in the lawsuit?" I froze. "Sarah?" "Yes. She also took money from you. She was also an accomplice to Michael's plan, even if she was not aware of all the details. Technically, we could accuse her, too." I closed my eyes. "No." "Are you sure?" "Yes. Sarah is my daughter, and although she hurt me, I cannot do that to her." James nodded slowly. "Okay, I respect your decision, but I want you to know something. Sarah can be called as a witness, and depending on what she says, she might incriminate herself. I understand. And what about your will? Did you modify it already?" That question hurt me more than any other. "No. Eleanor, you need to protect your assets. If something happens to you and your will still leaves everything to Sarah, Michael will find a way to keep your house. He was right. I knew it. Okay, I am going to modify it. Good. I am going to give you the contact of a trusted notary, someone who can help you draft a will that protects your interests." That afternoon after James left, I sat in the kitchen for hours looking at the walls that once witnessed family laughter, looking at the table where we ate together, looking at the garden where my grandkids played. And I made a decision that hurt me to the bone, but that I knew was necessary. The next day, I went to the notary. The notary James recommended was a serious but kind man. His name was Mr. Thompson, Mrs. Davis. "I understand you want to modify your will." "Yes. Can you tell me what changes you wish to make?" I took a deep breath. "I want to disinherit my daughter." The notary looked at me with a mix of surprise and compassion. "Are you sure disinheriting a child is a very serious decision?" "I know, but my daughter was an accomplice to a plan to strip me of my assets, and although I am not suing her, I cannot allow her to inherit something that will be used against me." "I understand. And who do you wish to leave as heir?" I remained silent for a moment. "My grandkids, Sam and Lily. But with a condition. The money will remain in a trust until they turn 25, and in the meantime, it will be administered by someone trustworthy. Who? Commander James. The notary took notes. That is fine. That is completely valid. And your house, my house too. It will remain in trust for my grandkids. No one can sell it until they reach the age and decide what to do with it. In the meantime, if I pass away, the house will remain closed or rented, but the rental money will go to the trust. Perfect. Anything else? Yes. I want to leave a letter explaining why I made this decision, so that my grandkids, when they grow up, understand it was not out of hate, it was out of protection. The notary nodded. We can do that. I spent the next 2 hours drafting my new will, and when I finished signing it, I felt a huge weight lifting off my shoulders. It was not revenge, it was protection. But it was also a farewell, because I knew Sarah, when she found out, would never forgive me. That night, I wrote the letter for my grandkids. I wrote it with tears falling on the paper. Dear Sam and Lily, if you are reading this, it is because I am no longer with you. And probably your mom has told you terrible things about me. Probably she has told you that I abandoned you, that I chose my money over my family. But I want you to know the truth. I loved you from the first day. I loved you with every fiber of my being. And when I had to make the decision to remove your dad from my life, it was the hardest decision I've ever made. But it was necessary because your dad was trying to rob me to take my house to make me pass for crazy so he could keep everything your grandfather Robert and I built for 40 years. And I could not allow it. Not because I was selfish, but because that house, that heritage, is your future. It is what I want to leave to you. Your mom made the mistake of choosing a man who did not deserve her, a man who used her, who used us all. And although that breaks my heart, I cannot change the past. I can only protect your future. That is why this house belongs to you. This money belongs to you. And I hope that when you are older, you understand that every decision I made was thinking of you. I love you. I have always loved you. I will always love you. Your grandmother, Eleanor. I put the letter in a sealed envelope. I gave it to the notary to attach to the will. And when I left that office, I felt something strange. It was not happiness. It was not sadness. It was peace. A painful peace, but peace at last. The following days were of reconstruction. I started cleaning the house, getting rid of everything Michael had brought, of all the ugly furniture he had put in my living room, of all the things that were not mine. Little by little, my house became my house again. I put my plants back in the garden, I bought new hydrangeas and planted them in the same place where Michael had torn out the others. I started cooking for myself again. Simple meals, soups, stews, rice pudding. I started going out to the park again, walking, greeting my neighbors. Mrs. Remedios, my next-door neighbor, stopped me one day. Eleanor, I heard what happened. I am so sorry. Thanks, Mrs. Remedios. Are you okay? Yes, I am okay. If you need anything, I am here. And she hugged me. That hug reminded me that I was not completely alone, that there were still good people in the world. A month after the eviction, I received an unexpected call. It was Sarah. My heart raced when I saw her name on the screen. Hello, Mom. Her voice sounded cold, distant. Sarah, how are you? How are the kids? The kids are fine. No thanks to you. I felt a pang in my chest. Sarah, I do not want to hear your excuses, Mom. I'm just calling to tell you something. Michael and I are leaving the city. We are going to Cleveland. He got a job there. To Cleveland. But we are not coming back, and I do not want you to try to contact us. The kids do not need a grandmother in their life who destroyed their family. Sarah, I did not destroy anything. I just protected myself. That is what you believe, but the truth is you chose your money over us, and I will never forgive you for that. Daughter, please. Goodbye, Mom. And she hung up. I stood there, phone in hand, feeling tears running down my face. I knew this moment would come, but that did not make it less painful. That night, I took out the secret phone. I wrote to James. Sarah is going to Cleveland. She told me she does not want me to contact them, that she does not want me to see my grandkids. The answer came in minutes. I am sorry, Eleanor. I know it hurts, but you did the right thing. And someday, when your grandkids grow up, they will understand. And if they do not understand, then you will have done the right thing anyway. Because the right thing is not always what brings immediate happiness. Sometimes it is what brings peace in the long run. I put the phone away. And that night, instead of crying, I did something different. I went out to the garden. I sat in my old rocking chair, and I looked at the stars. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Free from threats, free from thefts, free from fear. And although my heart was broken, I knew I had made the right decision. Because sometimes protecting oneself is not selfishness, it is survival. And sometimes loving someone means letting them go, even when it hurts, even when it seems impossible, even when the price is loneliness. I stayed there in the garden under the stars, feeling the cool night breeze, and I whispered to the wind, "Someday they will understand. Someday." And although I did not know if that day would come, I clung to that hope, because hope was the only thing I had left, and it was enough. 6 months passed, 6 months in which my life became a quiet but lonely routine. I got up early. I watered my plants. I made my coffee. I went for a walk in the park. James continued visiting me once a week. He had become something more than my lawyer or my protector. He had become my friend. "How are you feeling, Eleanor, better? Every day, a little better." And it was true. Little by little, the pain turned into acceptance. The rage turned into peace. I learned to live alone without feeling lonely. I resumed my knitting classes at the community center. I made new friends. Mrs. Remedios and I became very close. We drank coffee together on Tuesdays. We went to church on Sundays. My pension kept arriving punctually every month. And now all that money was mine alone. I could spend it however I wanted, without pressures, without threats. For the first time in years, I bought myself new clothes. I cut my hair. I got a facial. I started looking like the woman I used to be before Michael and Sarah entered my life again. The trial against Michael advanced slowly. James kept me informed of every step. Michael hired a lawyer. He keeps insisting that everything was a misunderstanding. But the proofs speak for themselves. It is just a matter of time. How much time? A few more months. Maybe a year. These processes are slow. That is fine. I can wait. And I could, because I no longer lived in fear. I no longer lived waiting for someone to rob me or threaten me. I lived in peace. It was in the 8th month when I received the first news. James arrived at my house with a serious expression. "Eleanor, I have to tell you something. What happened? Sarah and Michael. Things are not going well for them in Cleveland." I sat on the sofa. "What do you mean?" James took out his phone. He showed me a social media post. It was from a mutual acquaintance of Sarah, a distant cousin. The post said, "How sad to see how some people destroy their lives for following the wrong person. Sarah was always so hardworking, and now look what she became." "I do not understand," I said. "I made some calls," explained James. "Michael never got a job in Cleveland. He lied. They went there with nothing, no savings, no plan. And what happened? They are living in a rented room in a very humble area. Sarah had to get a job cleaning houses. Michael still does not work, and apparently their relationship is destroyed. They fight constantly. Neighbors complain about the noise. I felt a knot in my stomach. It was not satisfaction I felt. It was sadness because although Sarah had hurt me so much, she was still my daughter, and the kids. The kids are fine as far as I know. They go to school, but they are living in very different conditions than they had here. I remained silent. "Eleanor, I know this must be difficult for you. It is, but not because I enjoy their suffering. It is difficult because it hurts me to see them like that, even if they hurt me." James nodded. That speaks well of you. 2 months later came the second news. This time it was Mrs. Remedios who gave it to me. Eleanor, did you hear? Hear what about Michael? They arrested him in Cleveland. My heart raced. They arrested him. Why? For trying to sell stolen jewelry. Apparently he stole from the lady Sarah worked for cleaning. He entered the house when no one was there and took a whole jewelry box, but the lady had security cameras. I put my hand to my mouth. My God, yes. And when the police went looking for him, they found more jewelry in his room. Jewelry he could not explain where he got it from. My jewelry, the ones he stole from me months ago. I called James immediately. James, did you hear about Michael? Yes, they just informed me. The Cleveland police found several pieces that match the description of the jewelry you reported stolen. My earrings, my wedding ring, and other things I did not even know were missing. What is going to happen now? They are going to process him in Cleveland for the recent theft, but once that process is over, he will be extradited here to face the charges we already have against him. Eleanor, this man is going to jail, there is no doubt. I hung up the phone and felt no joy, felt no revenge, just felt tiredness. Tiredness of all this pain, of all this destruction. 3 weeks later, I received a call. It was an unknown number. Hello, Mom. It was Sarah. Her voice sounded broken, destroyed. Sarah, Mom, I need to talk to you. Okay, speak. I heard sobs on the other end of the line. They arrested Michael. He is in jail. And me. I have no money for a lawyer. I have no money for anything. I barely have enough to eat. Sarah, I know I have no right to ask you for anything. I know I hurt you. I know I was a bad daughter. But please, Mom, please, I need help. The kids need help. Every word was a dagger in my heart. Sarah, did you know what Michael was planning? Silence, answer me with the truth. More sobs. Not everything. I did not know he had hit you. I did not know he wanted to declare you incompetent. But I knew he was taking money from you. I knew he had sold your jewelry and I did nothing to stop him. Why not? Because I was scared of being alone. I was scared that if I left him, I would not be able to support my children alone. And I thought, if you gave us money, we would all be fine. But I was not fine. Sarah, you were destroying me. I know, Mom, and I am sorry. I am truly sorry. I closed my eyes. Sarah, I am not going to help you with a lawyer for Michael. Mom, please. No, that man stole from me, threatened me, hit me, and planned to take everything from me. I am not going to lift a finger to help him. Okay, I understand. But what about the kids and me, Mom? I do not have a stable job. I can barely afford rent. Sam needs glasses, and I cannot pay for them. Lily is eating only beans and rice. I felt my heart splitting in two. What do you want me to do, Sarah? I do not know. I need help. Any help. I took a deep breath. I will transfer you some money. $750, but with one condition. Which one? That you use that money only for the kids. For food, for school supplies, for what they need. Not for lawyers, for Michael. Not for expensive rents. Just for the kids. Yes, Mom, yes, I promise. And another thing, Sarah. This does not mean we are okay. It does not mean I forgot what happened, but I am not going to let my grandkids suffer for their parents' mistakes. Thanks, Mom. Thanks. And Sarah, yes. Do you still love Michael? There was a long silence. I do not know. Maybe I loved him, or maybe I was just scared of being alone. But now that I see what our life became, I think I never really knew him. He used you, Sarah. He used both of us. I know. We hung up. That afternoon, I made the transfer. $750. Not for Sarah, for Sam and Lily. James came to visit me the next day. I heard you talk to Sarah. How did you find out? Because I know you, Eleanor. And because I imagined she was going to look for you, I gave her money, just for the kids. James nodded. You did good, but be careful. Do not let her manipulate you again. She won not. I already learned. 3 months later came the final news. Michael was sentenced to 5 years in prison in Cleveland for theft. And after serving that sentence, he would be transferred to Chicago to face charges of financial abuse threats and fraud. In total, he faced up to 10 years in jail. James confirmed it with a call. "It is over, Eleanor. We won." But I did not feel like I had won anything. I just felt I could finally close that chapter. Sarah called me one last time that year. "Mom, I am going to divorce Michael." "That seems good, daughter, and I wanted to ask you something. Tell me, do you think someday you can forgive me?" I remained silent. "I do not know, Sarah. Maybe someday. But today it still hurts too much. I understand. But I want you to know something. Even if I cannot forgive you, now I will never stop caring about you. And I will never stop loving my grandkids. Thanks, Mom. Take care, Sarah. And take care of my grandkids. I will." And we hung up. That night, I went out to the garden. My hydrangeas had grown beautiful, more beautiful than before. I sat in my rocking chair and looked at the stars and thought about everything that had happened, about everything I had lost, and about everything I had gained. Because yes, I had lost my daughter. I had lost the relationship with my grandkids. I had lost the illusion of a united family, but I had gained something more valuable: my dignity, my house, my peace, and the certainty that I had done the right thing. Michael was in jail, not because I had avenged myself, but because his own actions led him there, because life, sooner or later, always collects its debts. And although it hurt me to see Sarah suffering the consequences of her decisions, I knew that suffering was necessary, because only through pain does one learn. Only through loss does one value what one had. And maybe, just maybe someday Sarah would understand. She would understand that I did not abandon her, that I only protected myself, and that sometimes the greatest love is the love that forces you to let go. I stayed there under the stars, feeling the cool breeze, and for the first time in a long time, I smiled, because I knew I was going to be okay, because I knew karma had done its job, and because I knew that although the path was painful, it was worth it. It was worth every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of loneliness, because in the end, I learned the most important lesson of all, that sometimes justice does not come from our hands. It comes from the universe, and it arrives just when it has to arrive. It has been 2 years since that night Michael dragged me by the hair and locked me in that dark room. 2 years since I took out my secret phone and asked for help. 2 years since my life changed forever. Today I am 63 years old, and when I look in the mirror, I see a different woman. I see wrinkles that were not there before, gray hairs that multiplied. But I also see something else. I see strength. I see dignity. I see peace. My house continues to be my refuge. I have been filling it again with things that make me happy. Plants in every corner. Photographs of Robert. Books I always wanted to read and never had time. The garden is more beautiful than ever. The hydrangeas grew so much that Mrs. Remedio says they look like pink clouds floating over the fence. I still go out to the park every day. I still drink coffee with my friends. I still attend my knitting classes. My life is simple, but it is mine. James continues visiting me, no longer as my lawyer, but as my friend. We drink coffee, we talk, we laugh. A few months ago, he confessed something to me. "Eleanor, when you called me that night 2 years ago, I did not know how serious your situation was. But as soon as I heard your voice, I knew I had to help you, because you helped me many years ago when no one else did, and that is a debt I never forgot. You did not owe me anything, James. Of course I did. And more than that, I am glad to have been there. I'm glad to have been part of your recovery." Those words moved me deeply because they reminded me that although I lost a family, I gained true friendships. The trial against Michael ended 6 months ago. He was declared guilty of all charges: financial abuse, threats, fraud, attempted dispossession. In total, they sentenced him to 12 years in prison, 12 years in which he won not be able to hurt anyone else. When James gave me the news, I did not feel joy. I did not feel revenge fulfilled. I just felt relief that it was finally over. My jewelry was recovered, my wedding ring, my gold earrings, everything. When they returned them to me, I cried. Not because they were valuable, but because they represented memories, moments with Robert, pieces of a life I thought I had lost forever. Now I keep them in a safety deposit box at the bank. I no longer wear them, but knowing they are there safe gives me peace of mind. Sarah and I talk every 2 or 3 months. It is not a close relationship. There is still too much pain, too many wounds that have not healed, but it is something. She is still in Cleveland. She got a stable job at a department store. Nothing fancy, but enough to support her children. She divorced Michael a year ago. She says it was the best decision of her life. "Mom, you were right," she told me in our last call. That man destroyed me, destroyed our family. And the worst part is I allowed it. The important thing is you got out of there, daughter. Yes, but I lost so much along the way. I lost you, I lost your trust, I lost years of my life. You are still young, Sarah, and you can still rebuild. I am trying, Mom. I am really trying. And I believe her. Because although I still cannot forgive her completely, I see a change in her. I see genuine regret, I see growth. And that gives me hope. My grandkids, Sam and Lily, are now 11 and 9 years old. I talk to them by video call once a month, and Sarah allows it. At first, the conversations were awkward. The kids looked at me with suspicion with the stories Sarah had told them for months. But little by little, that suspicion faded. Now they tell me about school, their friends, their dreams. Sam wants to be a veterinarian. Lily wants to be a teacher. I tell them I am proud of them, that I love them, that I will always be here if they need me. And although I cannot hug them, although I cannot watch them grow up close, at least I can be present in their lives this way. The will I modified 2 years ago is still valid. Everything I have will be theirs when I am no longer here. The house, the savings, everything. And the letter I wrote is still kept at the notary, waiting for the day they read it, waiting for the day they understand. Sometimes when I'm alone in the house, I ask myself if I made the right decisions, if I should have been more patient with Sarah, if I should have given more chances. But then I remember that night, I remember the pain of hair being pulled. I remember the taste of blood in my mouth. I remember the fear of being locked in that dark room. And I know I had no choice, that what I did was survival, not revenge, not selfishness, survival. And if I had to do it again, I would make the same decisions, because I learned something very important in these 2 years. I learned that loving oneself is not selfishness. I learned that setting boundaries is not cruelty. I learned that protecting your peace is an act of self-love. And I learned that sometimes the family you choose is stronger than the blood family. Mrs. Remedios has become the sister I never had. James has become the son Sarah could not be. My knitting friends have become my support network. And although I miss what could have been, I am grateful for what is. A few weeks ago, while watering the hydrangeas, I found something buried in the dirt, a small, rusty metal box. I opened it carefully. Inside was an old photograph, a photograph of Sarah when she was 5. She was in the garden smiling with hands full of dirt planting flowers with me. I stood looking at that photograph for a long time, and I cried. I cried for the girl she was. I cried for the woman she became. I cried for everything that was lost along the way. But I also smiled because that girl in the photograph still exists somewhere. And maybe someday she will return. I kept the photograph in my room in a small frame on my nightstand to remind me that although people change, love does not disappear, it just transforms. Last night, I had a dream. I dreamed of Robert. We were in the garden. He was planting hydrangeas, I was making coffee, and he told me something that stayed with me when I woke up. You did well, love. I am proud of you. I do not know if it was really a dream or just my subconscious giving me the permission I needed, but it gave me peace. Today, while I write this story in my mind, while I review it to tell it I know exactly why I need to share it. Not to seek pity, not to seek revenge, but so that another woman somewhere knows she is not alone. That if she is living what I lived, there is a way out. That if she is being abused, manipulated, stripped, there is hope. That she does not have to endure. That she does not have to stay silent. That she has the right to protect herself. That she has the right to live in peace. And that love for family does not mean allowing abuse. If my story can help a single woman open her eyes, pick up her phone, ask for help, then everything I lived will have been worth it. Because silence protects the abuser, but the truth liberates the victim. And I am no longer a victim. I am a survivor. I am 63 years old. I live alone in my house. My hydrangeas bloom every spring. And although my life is not perfect, it is mine. And that is enough. This morning while drinking my coffee in the garden, I saw a butterfly land on the hydrangeas. It was yellow, bright, beautiful, and I thought of something my mother used to tell me when I was a child. Butterflies are the souls of our loved ones coming to visit us. I do not know if I believe in that, but I like to think so. I like to think Robert came to see me. I like to think he is proud. I like to think everything will be fine. And do you know something, dear friend listening to me from wherever you are? Everything will be fine. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but someday. Because life always finds a way to balance itself. Karma always collects its debts, and justice, although late, always arrives. You just have to be strong enough to endure until it arrives. You just have to be brave enough to ask for help. And you just have to remember one thing, that your life belongs to you. And nobody, absolutely nobody, has the right to take it from you. Thanks for listening to the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and hit the bell to hear more stories of women who transformed their pain into wisdom. Every day a woman, a life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes a story like this can change a whole day. God bless you, and until next time.